Hello and welcome to the Lusail International Circuit in Qatar as we get ready for qualifying for the final race weekend of the 2017 FIA World Touring Car Championship. Drivers preparing to go out into the first of 3 sessions of qualifying. Hello everybody, Martin Haven. Alongside me is Matt Neal. Down in the pit lane, Alex Legui. We'll catch up with her and our drivers shortly. But Matt, beautiful conditions, a little warmer than yesterday evening in free practice, and ready for what might be a really critical qualifying period, because with 5 points for pole and 6.5 between the top 2 in the championship, there is barely a hair's breadth between them.
Yeah, we've been to numerous countries and numerous continents all around the world, and it all comes down to one race weekend in the desert. So it's between Norby Michelitz in the Castrol, factory Castrol Honda, and Ted Bjorg in the Works Volvo. So it's going to be head-to-head. They both had good weekends. They both had bad weekends. Free practice so far this week, the Castrol Hondas seem to have the edge over the Volvos, but Volvo have brought out a secret weapon.
Yeah, he's not much of a secret, is he? Van Muller has been drafted in place of Nestor Girolami, and the idea is to help Volvo win the Constructors' Championship. There's 12.5 points between Volvo, the leaders, and Honda, the chasers. Björk and Michelitz, 6.5 points apart. Banani, Katzberg, Chilton, the rest scrapping for the crumbs from the table, but Chilton and Banani also scrapping for the Independence Trophy, and that is going to be an equally tight battle. And the independent teams trophy up for grabs as well, so all sorts of stuff going on. We're not going to bother trying to do mental arithmetic, because therein lies madness. We're not going to bother getting the calculator out. We're going to wait until the graphics come up on screen and hope that they can do the counting electronically. So Ted Björk versus Norbert Michelitz and a cast of other players, and Honda versus Volvo. It's going to be an interesting day. We've got qualifying, we've got Mach 3, which of course only counts for constructors' points, not for drivers' points, and we have 2 races to get through here before the end of the evening in Qatar, and then the partying can start. Waiting for the green light at pit exit. In the distance you can see it's still red. Now we go green. So the first period of qualifying is underway. Just to remind you, 3 sessions of qualifying. The first of 20 minutes with all of our entries. Then the fastest 12 go through into Q2. Those who don't make it are locked into their positions for both races. When we go into Q2, with our fastest 12, we're then shooting for the top 5 spots to go through into Q3. Everybody below that is fixed into place for the 2 races, and 11th and 12th will be 11th and 12th for both races. In the opening race, the top 10 after the 3rd period of qualifying will be reversed, so the man who sets the fastest time of all in Q3 will start 10th, and the 10th place man in Q2 will start on the opening race pole. And then for the main race, which is the longer of the 2, the fastest man in qualifying will start on pole position, and the 10th place person will start 10th. So when you're looking at the championship battles, if you qualify, say, 4th, then you'll be 6th in the opening race and 4th in the second race, and if one of your rivals is 3rd, he'll start behind you in one and ahead of you in the other. So it sort of balances out your options or your chances in the 2 races based on your grid spots. But of course, if you've got the quicker car, you have got the quicker car, and so you should hopefully be able to take advantage of it.
But the one key thing this year, Martin, is the reverse grid is the first race of the day, so it means it's not all you can roll your sleeves up and get stuck in for the reverse grid. It means they've really got to almost behave themselves and trying to keep the car in one piece to score maximum points in the feature race, which, well, is it a good thing? It's a good debate, but The problem is the two title contenders and the people around them can't afford to sit back and wait for the main race. They've got to score healthy points.
Exactly
in both
right, and the same in the independents, because if you have a problem in the first race, although there is a slightly longer repair period before race 2 because it is the championship deciding weekend and lots of titles up for grabs, if you do have a slightly longer if you do have a slight faux pas in the opening race, then you've got to sort of somehow hope that your teammate or your rival has a faux pas in the second. It's the person who blinks first basically is going to lose the championship here, and I think that's the difference. It's going to be tough to win it, but it's going to be possible to lose it.
Both the races last year were pretty frenetic. There was close racing throughout. There were cars coming through the field, so I think I wouldn't like to be a betting man and having a wager this weekend, but this guy we're looking at there, Norby Michelitz, he's on form at the moment. He was on form in Macau and sort of pushing Huffy all the way, the street fighter Rob Huff, and he's been on it. Second half of the season, he's sort of after Tiago's accident, which saw him taken out the mix, and we wish Tiago the best of health. He's back here this weekend, but obviously not driving capacity. But he's on good form. Bjorg's been playing it safe, picking up the points, and has the points advantage coming into this weekend. But there's a hair's breadth splitting him. So, and for speed, you've got to bet on the Hungarian. Yeah,
Norby seems to have the quicker of the two cars here, and Ted Bjork, you can see, a little faster in the first sector. And just a fraction faster in the second sector than Norby as well. However, Rob Huff has gone purple in sector 1. Nicky Katzberg purple in sector 2 and 3. And you can see how much dust and sands there is around. Qatar obviously is a Gulf state, therefore lots of sand around and about. You can see lots of building rubble right outside the perimeter of the fence there, and of course all of that dust goes in the air, flies around all over the place, and eventually settles predominantly on bits of road that aren't being used. And this is a bit of road that very infrequently is used. They tried to clean it up yesterday, or it was cleaner at the end of free practice, but even at the end of free practice 2, so it's 90 minutes of running, teams were still saying it was much lower grip than they had expected. Norby goes fastest. And that's Rio Michigami. Missed a lot of free practice with an oil leak. Esteban Guerreri had an oil leak as well. That's a bit of a worry for the Castro Honda team, especially from Norby, who hasn't had an oil leak yet.
That's a good bank. I thought I was impressed with Michelitz's first lap, but that's a great opener for Bjorg in response. He was struggling a bit in free practice, and they seem to have. I think that's going to be his fastest lap of the weekend. So well, you can see they just sneak inside those tyre stacks.
Crikey, only just though. 2:02, that's nowhere near where we were yesterday evening. Of course, it was dark then, and the cooler air of the evening, and especially the cooler track temperatures, will definitely have had an effect. We may not even get below a 2-minute lap in qualifying. We'll wait and see. But yesterday in free practice 2, Norby did a 1:59.7, which is comfortably inside both the qualifying and race records. So he was inside the 2016 qualifying record and the 2015 race record, both of which I've now lost, and I'm going to try and find again. Race record was 2:01 point something, qualifying record was 2 minutes point something.
Yeah, just to reiterate, this is not about shooting for pole this session. It's just about sort of climbing into that top 12. So they get through into the main part of qualifying. We'll see the back end all bumped off.
In the danger zone will be both of the Zengo Motorsport Hondas, who collided with each other yesterday on the outlap of free practice 1. In the danger zone 2, both the Chevrolets, Tom Chilton, Chris Richard, and possibly also Rio Michigami, because he's just returned to the pit having not set a time. Norby comes in second quickest to Ted Bjork. Ivan Muller third, Kevin Gleeson fourth in the Lager. 2 minutes 3.2, where was he last night? 2 minutes 3.6, so half a second quicker. That may not be enough for him to end up in the top half dozen. Esteban Guerreri 7th quickest at the moment. gradually catching up with these. Tom Coronel 5th, Nicky Katzberg 6th, Guerreri down to 7th, Jan Erlaché in 8th, John Philippi in 9th, and rounding out the top 10, Mehdi Banani 11th, Sol David Sabo 12th, Rob Huff. So missing the cut at the moment, Chris Richard in the Chevy Cruze, Tom Chilton in the Citroen. He's returned to the pits without setting a competitive lap time. Ryo Michigami in the Castrol Honda, and Daniel Nudge.
Interesting view of Nicky Katzberg there, left foot braking. Some of the drivers opting for either. Some use both, some use right, some use left. So the Dutchman, obviously the cars are clutchless once you're up and running. You use the clutch to start and stop, and then it's a flat shift, so you only lift off the accelerator. There's a little micro switch in the gear lever. It has to be manually operated as electronic steering wheel shifts are banned, but little micro switch in the gear lever which will just cut the engine for milliseconds, which means you can just hold your foot flat to the boards and bang it through.
I think he needs to find a slightly better lap than that. He is currently, I've lost him now, where did he go to? Oh, he's gone up to third. He did find a better lap than that, yeah. So he's just bumped Rob Huff out of the top 3. Top 4 are Ted Björk, Norbert Michelis, Nicky Katzberg, Rob Huff, and 5th fastest Ivan Muller. So as of now, on the pace he's shown, Muller would go through to Q3 for the first time in a year, because of course he hasn't raced since this race last year. These races last year, and at the moment Zsolt Szabo 66 is in, and Daniel Nudge 99 is not of this duo. Both were reprimanded, by the way, after falling over each other and clattering off Jan Erlaché, heating tyres, brakes, warming something or other on the outlap of free practice 1, but the cars are all repaired and still out on track. Midway through the first period of qualifying, 10 minutes down, or in fact 11 minutes down, 9 to go. Tom Chilton under a bit of pressure now to hurry up, because he is second last, having not actually set a time. Yesterday, first time he tried for a quick lap, sort of lap 2 or 3 of free practice 1, he thumped a tyre stack so significantly it tore the right-hand bodywork off the car and broke the suspension. So he was then back in the pits. Got plenty of running anyway, but just going to be a little cautious of those tyre stacks, I think, through 4 and 5. See how busy the driver is working, and shades as well. Don't know who those are sponsored by, doubtless they are. And there's not very many places on this track map that are actual corners or turns as such. Most of them are sort of hairpinny, chicaney things, mainly hairpins.
Yeah, we've got a 7-stroke, 7.5, 8, 180-degree turns back on themselves, so it's backwards and forwards, so it's incredibly hard on the front tyres. It's a low grip, high wear surface, which sounds back to front, but because the tyres can't generate the grip on the surface, they tend to slide more, which then accentuates the heat, accentuates the tyre wear. So front tyres are going to be really critical. Last year I expected it to be real carnage, but the tyres held on really well. But the teams do have to react accordingly. You see them make the cars very, very pointy. You see the backs of the cars quite high up in the air, and this makes, Michelis using all the track and some there, just sneaking inside the tyre stack again. But yeah, just to try and protect those front tyres, they'll jack the backs up in the air. It does make them very, very lively on through the quicker corners.
Can be very tight at the line. 11 thousandths in front on the end of the third sector. The fourth sector is basically 2 corners, 3 corners. And is he going to be in front as he comes to the line? Ted Björk with the fastest lap so far. And Norby crosses the line. And now, he did that again yesterday. He went from 0.4 up to 1.2 up in sector 4, which is fast, but it's got corners 14, 15 and 16 in it. 14 and 15 are near flat out, 16 isn't. Norby has found a wormhole somewhere there that nobody else can get close to. Tom Chilton, under pressure, produced a lap that went third just before we picked up Norby's lap. Here's Mehdi Banani, his championship title rival. Oh, and that's Rio Michigami again in trouble. And look at how dusty everywhere is. The moment you go off the racing line, never mind off the circuit, just sand everywhere.
Yeah, Michigami just doesn't seem to be exploiting the scenery as much as he should, and some of the other drivers are.
Banani 14th. This is a better lap though, 0.68. Let's say he's 0.9 away at the line. That will leave him, well, third ahead of Tom Chilton, who's 1.3 away at the line. So let's say he's a second away. This is a very good lap. Banani and Chilton could both go through into Q3 at this rate. Ivan Muller with a purple sector in sector 2. So now it's, oh, he was 0.8 away, third quickest ahead of Tom Chilton. So Mikulits and Björk, the overall championship battle rivals, ahead of Banani and Chilton, who are their closest next group of rivals with Nicky Katzberg, and also they're battling for the independence.
But that leaves
trophy.
Michelet's title man sat there at the front, and his two wingmen, Guerreri and Michigami, sat there. Guerreri right on the bubble in 12th.
Yeah.
And Michigami outside the drop zone in 14th. So only 5 minutes, less than 5 minutes to go now.
And both of them had an oil leak yesterday. They didn't lose an awful lot of time. Michigami lost the beginning of the session. Didn't see that it really cost Esteban Guerreri a whole host of track time. Well, what about the other rear gunners? Nicky Katzberg 5th, Ivan Muller currently 8th, but comes across the line and goes second fastest. There's life in the old dog yet, apparently. Yeah. But still, nearly 7 tenths covering the top 3. Oh, come on, screen, do us a favour. Ivan Muller, 23 thousandths behind. It finally updates 3 corners after he crosses the line. It's one of the delights of a dedicated but internet-based timing system. Rob Huff 1.1 away.
Guerreri pulls himself out of the danger zone.
Okay, so Mikulits, Honda, Muller, Lada rear gunner, Guerreri, Honda rear gunner, and Björk and Banani.
Yeah, so 30 seconds ago, it was Volvo slowly turning the wick, winding the pressure onto Castrol Hondas of team and Michelit's, but now the table's turned. Now in just 30 seconds, with Björk slipping back down to 4th. But again, this is only just to get into Q2 at the moment.
So
but
it's
a good benchmark for us.
This is the pre-fight weigh-in, isn't it? This is a little bit ahead games, because they don't
pre-fight handbags at dawn.
Yeah, Muller doesn't need to be second quickest. He only needs to be 8th or 9th, and yet they're putting that out there, aren't they? So David Sabo in 16th place at the moment. Better lap from him.
But Muller he knows how to play the game. If he was to qualify on the front row, he knows how to play the game. He knows how to roll his sleeves up. He has no allegiance with the Yas people. He's driven for most of the teams around the world in the World Touring Car paddock, but never a Honda, never with Yas.
And of course, he's not looking for a drive next year.
He's not looking for anything next year, is he?
He can take himself off everybody's Christmas card list. However, he does love motorsport and motor racing and gets it thoroughly, and so I would believe that he does not want to be the man that ruins the championship. He wants to score points for Volvo, and the best way to do that is to win a race. That's how he scores as many points as he can for them. Now, if he is leading and his teammate needs to win the race to win the title, then Volvo 1-2 with him second, he'll do that.
Wasn't that Ricard Rydell's foobar when he didn't really play the game back a few years ago?
In Anderstorp, yes. Ricard Rydell, there was, I understand, a contract waiting for him to sign at the end of the weekend, and he rather tore it up by refusing to allow his teammates to win the race and by taking the glory for himself. Sometimes when you're behind the wheel and you've got the helmet on, Matt, logic and common sense doesn't make much of an appearance, does it?
Red mist or the blue mist, as the Volvos that go.
The blue mist, very good.
That runoff area does look, it looks super clean on camera, but it is very dusty. Lots of debris out there, so Guerrieri will have been picking up a lot of debris on his tyres there.
The problem is that's half a lap ruined. That's the first half ruined because you run out wide, and it's the second half ruined because you're trying to clean the tyres so you can go for another lap, which means you've sort of ruined the next lap because you've taken the edge out of the tyre as well.
Okay, 1 minute left to go. We've got the, unfortunately, no surprise, the two Zenga Hondas in the drop zone, but Rio Michigami struggling to get out of there.
Yeah.
And then the other scout, which we're hoping to get through, is Jan Elerche in the Lada.
If he starts 13th for both races, he's going to have a really tough day of it, isn't he? Kevin Gleeson, look at the way the car's absolutely flying.
And Chris Richard.
And Chris Richard, yeah, no, Chris Richard absolutely in 10th place ahead of Tom Coronel, but Chris Richard in 10th, Kevin Gleeson 11th. This isn't actually a quicker lap from him. Coronel needs to find something. Green in sector 2, green in sector 3 for Tom. That's a little bit better. 1.2 away will put him in 8th. Let's say he loses 2 tenths, 1.5 away. That's sort of just about good enough. He is in 12th at the moment, but it might not be enough. Elerche, by the way, is in the pits. Checkered flag is out. That's it for Coronel. It's this lap or nothing. He's in 12th. Michigami's on a quicker lap, but already, look, in sector 3, 1.5 away. Coronel up to 9th. Michigami could be in, and that would bump out Kevin Gleeson. One of the mechanics are out in proper comedy manner, mopping a bead of sweat. Actually, literally mopping a bead of sweat away. Kevin Gleeson's in the pits. Is he still in? Chris Richard goes faster to 9th ahead of Coronel, so he's the quicker of the two Chevrolet drivers. John Philippi is in 11th. Who's got a lap left? Michigami, is he in? 1.9, he is not in. So Rio Michigami in the Castrol Honda and Jan Elerche do not make it through. At Castrol Honda, where's Gabriele Tarquini this weekend?
Well,
you know, John Philippi, well, he's in, so he can ease off the way. It's not a quick lap anyway. He's not trying to ease off. Philippi is rehearsing here, trying to get 10th or 9th, isn't he? Chilton comes across the line in 5th. So on that sort of pace, we're going to have Muller and Michelitz, Katzberg and Guerrieri, and or Björk, Chilton, Banani.
Which is a similar sort of mix. Okay, Muller was a little bit further down yesterday. Similar mix. You know, Huffy was up there.
Yeah, Huffy was up there. So anyone in the top 8 should be in the top 5, but that means 3 are going to miss out. Which 3?
Very good question. You know, with I don't know what the politics are with the Castrol Honda team, but obviously Volvo are looking to every edge, and that's, you know, part of that's bringing Muller in. And Michigami has been, you'd have to say, the weaker one of the 3 this year. You know, replacing him, but obviously it hasn't happened. But
no, that's because it's Honda and he's a Japanese star and they need him. Well, Q1 done here in Qatar, ready for Q2. Who didn't get through? Rio Michigami, Jan Elerche, Zolt David Zaba and Daniel Nudge. And of those 4, the big surprise is Elerche.
Understandably, a very, very frustrated Jan here. What's going on? How is the car handling? Do you feel like you were affected by yesterday's result?
The car is not affected by yesterday, but for sure we are, because we plan to do a quali sim in FP2, but because of the green Hondas, they just make our trouble in our strategy for our quali sim. So for sure it affects a bit the quali today, but I don't know. We are struggling with the peak of performance of the tire. We don't feel anything, so we have to try to find out, and we will see for tomorrow. Starting P14, I don't expect it to finish on the podium, but let's hope to have great fights on the track to end the season, and we will still work to make a good final race.
Thank you.
There's no question he is a real racer, a real fighter in the car, but not having, I mean, that incident at the beginning of free practice looks so innocuous, but anything that costs you time in free practice costs you something somewhere, and that's what it's cost.
He's a star of tomorrow, isn't he?
He's a star today, isn't he? Next year, I think he could really, really put the cat among the pigeons. Can you imagine if somehow or other he'd got a call up at Citroën 5 years ago?
Nothing against Guerreri, but I'd like to have seen El Aché in the Honda.
I'd love to have seen him in a Citroën.
Yeah, I don't think against
maybe he wasn't
Miller,
ready.
I think
maybe he wasn't ready.
Experienced, two-classer act. He's still
blimey.
He's fast.
Wouldn't he have rolled his sleeves up? Yeah.
But the old, you know.
And the other thing, of course, there is that he'd have had like a fully pro operation.
You needed a good season or so under his belt, I think, before going ahead. Otherwise, you don't want to break him.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's out this one. So,
he is.
For the moment.
So 12 cars in this second 10-minute period of qualifying, and although that sounds generous, don't forget that a very fast lap here is 2 minutes and 2 seconds, so it's going to take you 2.5 minutes of that 10 minutes just to get out of the pit lane and round to start a lap. So the longer you sit there, Tom, the worse it's going to be. Tom Coronel in 10th place. Now, if he ended up at the end of the session in 10th place, he'd be a very happy Dutch bunny, because he'd be starting the opening race from the DHL pole position. By the way, apropos of qualifying, we will be presenting a trophy at the end of qualifying, the DHL pole position trophy, and that is for the person with most main race pole positions. And the battle is between, can you guess?
Norby Michelitz
and
Ted Bjork.
Rob Huff.
Rob Huff?
Norby's got 3 and Huffy's got 2. Now, if Huffy were to get a third main race pole, i.e. go fastest of all in Q3, then actually he would win it on the nominal tie-break, because he was the first of the pair to get a main race pole. That was in Hungary, which of course was Norby's annus horribilis of the season.
That was
his biggest mare of the season. You know,
which
ironically,
is one where he normally steps up to the plate and performs for the home fans.
But has he ever had a boring race or a straightforward race? And he's always had drama. You know, BMW shunted and missing its radiator and all that sort of stuff. And he's never had a straightforward race weekend in Hungary, I don't think, apart from maybe the very first one when he was in the Seat. But at the moment, is Huffy going to get the outright pole position? It seems unlikely. So Norby could, well, the way he's going so far, end up with a 4th main race pole in 10 attempts, which is not bad at all. That's approaching a Jose Maria Lopez level of hogging all the limelight. On board with 64 of Muller, and the Volvo's all numbered 60-something, because that's what the car is, an S60. So we had 61 for Girolami. We have 62 and 63, which are Ted Bjork and Nicky Katzberg. And then we have 64, which is the next in the line. That's Ivan Muller. And he's not his regular 68, which would have worked equally well for Volvo, because Yann Lachey now lives in that particular postcode. And so he's adopted that number because Uncle Jan had retired. So 62 then, that is Ted Bjork. And again, you can see the cars really picking up the rear wheel in so many of these corners, which shows that a lot of the time they're cornering, they've actually got the brakes on as well. So a lot of trailing brake into the corners. Norby with the fastest first sector. Esteban Guerreri with the fastest third sector. Who's got the fastest second sector? It's Nicky Katzberg is who. And Tom Coronel has not yet left the pits. So is he waiting for everybody to do one lap and come in before he goes out? Playing brinksmanship. Norby fastest at the moment, Ted Bjork second.
Guerreri's just gone quicker, hasn't he?
Has he?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Ivan Muller goes second, Rob Huff goes third. And Nicky Katzberg's lap. So Guerreri, Bjork, Huff, Muller, Mikulic, they're all in there. Unfortunately, our timing screen is about a quarter of a lap behind, so that's doing nobody any favours at all.
He's not put a good lap in there. It's whether he made a mistake or something.
Yeah, he is. In fact, Norby's 2.2 seconds off, so that was not a quick lap. Esteban Guerreri fastest for Honda, Nicky Katzberg second, Ivan Muller third for Volvo, Rob Huff fourth, and Ted Björk fifth. 4 minutes to go. No time for Norby to come into the pits. He's had the best lap out of the tyres. It wasn't good enough. He needs another one.
Another slow-mo with Huffy there.
Not sure what we're seeing here. Oh.
Oh.
Well, don't hit the tyre stacks, and also don't fall over your teammate. So this is Muller, and Katzberg trying to come past him. Muller not seeing him, even though Katzberg was on the driver's side. Was that Katzberg? No, it was. It was Ted.
I don't know, was not. Ted came and hit me. Was probably misunderstanding. Okay, is the car okay? I'm not sure, it was a big hit.
As long as it's not on
Yeah,
the
see,
wheel.
I'm not sure it's a big hit. And unlike when we were testing the Citroens, you guys haven't practiced crashing into each other, or at least not that we're aware they have. So that may be a little practice crash. Now, never mind what's happened to Ivan, what's happened to Ted Björk?
He's there.
That's
But why
Ivan's
didn't he just
engineer.
drop? No, it isn't. It's Katzberg.
And that's Nicky.
Wow.
Meanwhile, Kevin Gleeson, 11th. And
Michelet's on the bubble.
yeah, Michelet's in the pit lane. So what's up with Norby? This is not where the wheels need to come off the wagon for Norby. Everybody else coming into the pits. Coronel has just gone out.
If he's going for tyres, he'll get 1 lap.
Well, he only needs 1 lap, but he's got to do it. 2 minutes 30. He's got to be out of the pit lane all but now, otherwise he's not going to start a lap even. The checkered flag will be out for him. So what we need to see is, where is Norby? Kevin Gleeson is in 10th. He is the opening race pole sitter at the moment. Mikulic's in the pits. Coronel is out of the pit lane, so Norby could end up 12th in both races, and that would be the end of the championship.
Well, it wouldn't.
It would. There's
his...
just too many cars for him to fight his way through. 2 minutes to go. If he's not out the pits, and he's not out, well, I can't tell. Our timing screen's 25 seconds behind.
No, but the TV timing isn't.
No.
So he needs to be on his warm-up lap
so
now.
the championship is all but over. And that's going to be a major, major hit for Honda as well. Norby starting 12th and Michigami in 14th. What on earth has happened?
Wow.
Coronel, all very interesting and everything.
How wrong can it go for
not
both
a championship
contenders?
contender. Where is Norbert Mikulic? Tom's probably going to end up in 10th, which will bump Kevin Gleeson to 11th. I mean, that's what they'll be aiming for, is to get him into 10th or possibly 9th with John Philippi alongside. But 10th would be perfect to try and get out and win a race. And there's Norby in the car, but there's no point. Why is he even in the car? Just get him out of the car. It's done.
Forget it. Park it.
What's happened? Brakes. Brakes? I have no idea. Tom
Looks like
Coronel,
organised chaos down there.
1.2 away, and they're going to try and judge this very finely.
Ooh,
so
Tom.
at the moment, Gleeson 2.1 away, Norby 2.2 away. There is a 1/10 of a second. I beg your pardon, there is a 1300th of a second margin into which Coronel must fall. Oh no, it's not, it's between 9th and 10th. So they've got half a second. Half a second trying to judge it. Where's he going to end up? 1.6 will put him in 9th. 1.8 behind will put him in 10th, and he is 2.3 behind. He's last. What was going on there? It is a brake problem for Norbert Mikulec in the Castrol Honda, and that, I'm afraid, has torpedoed the championship below the waterline. He'll start 12th or 11th for both races. And Ted Björk is 5th, so he will be in at least 5 spots ahead of Norby, 6 spots ahead of 7 spots ahead of Norby in the opening race, and at the very worst, 1 spot ahead of him in the main race. By which time the championship will be all but out of reach. Because if Björk goes fastest, he'll get 5 points for pole position, and then a potential 30 points for the race win for Norby wouldn't be enough, because he'd be 11.5 points behind. There's only 7 first to second. Oh, I don't believe it. Of all the things that could happen...
He's done everything right this weekend so far, hasn't he?
Of all the things that could happen. I saw him receiving a big hug from his wife, but what are we seeing here? We're going to see something come off the car.
Michelet's has been at the front on it.
No.
Well, it ain't over yet.
It's not over yet. No, you're right. I've watched Le Mans for the last 2 years. I know it is never over, but oh my goodness, if he wins the championship from here, then there will have been carnage and confusion in 2 races. Tom Coronel, did he not pass the checkered flag twice?
I think you're right.
I think he did. Anyway, Q2 is done. Q1 done, Q2 done. We are getting ready for our 3rd phase of qualifying here at the Lusail International Circuit in Qatar. And the 5 who go through into Q3 include this man, Ted Björk. He'll be first out. Bit of gaffer tape. Why have they not still got blue gaffer tape? Oh look, they got a bit of blue film wrap to go over the black gaffer. Surely it's not beyond the wit of man to get blue gaffer tape. Anyway, Ted Björk goes out first, Rob Huff goes out second, Ivan Muller third, Nicky Katzberg fourth, and Esteban Guerreri fifth. And the big story from Q2 is Norbert Mikulec does not go out. He's 11th. And for Duncan Laycott there, who was formerly an engineer at RML in their Chevrolet glory days, he's the head of the engineering program at Castrol Honda, and Norbert Mikulec there, we saw that a few moments ago, getting a hug from his wife because having a brake problem, failure, whatever it was, in Q2 means that he will start both races today from 11th place. Now, he is a fighter, he will not give up, and Matt, although he's a very emotional, I was going to say young man, he is very good at dealing with it and moving on from the emotion, because Lord knows the roller coasters that he's had in Hungary have bred that into him. Let's hear from Norbert Mikulec. Alex is with him.
Absolutely heartbreaking situation, Norby. What's happened?
I don't know. I still didn't ask the guys. It felt like the brakes were stuck from the 7th or 8th corner on my flying lap, so it was not really possible to go for a better lap time. It's a shame, but in the end, I guess everything happens for a reason. I'm still proud of ourselves. There are still 2 races to go this afternoon. Of course, it's a bit cruel, but yeah, I'll do my best. I'll fight for it in the races. It's nothing else I can do. Thanks.
He will work beyond this because he doesn't give up. And Jamie O'Leary there, the press man for the Castrol Honda Yasport team, with a really tough task to try and get his man to come out.
I'd like someone to give me some odds, because I'd put a bet on him. You never know.
Well, I tell you what, after Mach 3, we'll get online. Yeah, no, I agree, absolutely. He's
a fighter. When he gets out on track, you never know what's going to happen. The only problem he's got to deal with Muller, and he's got to get past Muller and Katzberg.
There's a lot of machinery in the way.
Both those guys they know how to fight.
There's a lot of machinery. It's just getting by everybody, and that is the problem. Why have they not got blue gaffer tape, Matt? Why are they using black gaffer tape and blue film to go over the top? Have they just, I mean, no. Blue gaffer tape, come on. Anyway.
Everybody's got blue gaffer tape.
I've got blue gaffer tape left from my Mini. I haven't got a Mini anymore, but I've still got blue gaffer. Anyway, there we go. Ted Bjerg getting ready to head out into Q3. Well, the gaffer tape is because of this. Ted Bjerg wanting to get into the pits and go by teammate Ivan Muller. Ivan didn't know he was coming. Look at Bjerg's eyes. Oh. You could see that.
I can laugh because it's not me.
It has been. You could see the double take. I'm going to get punched in the arm with it. You see the double take brothers. Look there. He's going, yeah, I'm there. Oh, where's he going? Where's he going? And I'm sure he thought Ivan had seen him coming.
He's given him his space, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then Ivan hadn't seen him coming because on the radio, Ivan was going, I don't know what happened. Ted hit me. And yeah. Now, the other thing, of course, with Norby is it's not just that he was out of Q3 and that he'll be 11th on the grid. They've got to fix the brakes, otherwise Honda will lose the manufacturer's title as well, because they won't be able to go into Mach 3 with only 2 cars, and they'll hand even more points to Polestar. So it's a massive double whammy. Now, they've got all of Mach 3 to get the brakes fixed. I think they're not in Parc Ferme, are they? They are on Parc Ferme, aren't they?
They're not in Parc Ferme, I don't think.
Is anybody allowed to work? I've never noticed, because we're not obviously down in the pit lane in Mach 3. Or in Q3, we're here. Are they allowed to work on the cars?
Yeah, it's a continuation of qualifying, isn't it?
No, because qualifying's over for you. In theory, you should be in Mach 3 from the moment your qualifying run is ended in Parc Ferme.
So it's fair for the last guy to go as well as the first guy.
Oh. Yeah, but then if you don't get through because you've got damage, is it fair that you're not allowed to repair it while the session's still live?
And you'd have to say Honda's got to go first.
Yes, because they're behind in the points.
So it gives them less time.
Now, if only we weren't in the commentary booth, yes, says everybody, if only we weren't in the commentary booth when things were going on, we'd be able to see what was going on. I don't know what the rule is. I'm assuming, stroke hoping, that they are allowed to continue working on the car in Q3. So here we go, starting the lap with Ted Bjerg. And this must feel like just an abandoned desert road like they always use when they're testing hypercars in Top Gear and things, with no one in sight, nary a stray camera or camel, and just go as fast as you can and try not to allow the dust to get in your way. More tyre stacks out around the circuit this year than last to try and stop track limits problems. Q3 may be a bit of a track limit fest, because if anybody goes all 4 wheels off, I wonder which corners they were told about in driver's briefing. Habitually, the race director will say, if you go all the way off in corner 4 or corner 8 or corner whatever, then you will receive a penalty.
The problem is here, Martin, it's so hard to police, because how are you going to police it? The observers, if they've got any
cameras. You have circuit cameras. Well, the way they do it on the exit of Spa, as you come up over the left-handed rise out of Eau Rouge, and they have a locked-off camera there. And so they take a still of every car that goes by. And it's very, very obvious if you're all 4 wheels off or you're not. They've angled it correctly. It's high up, so you can see the car's wheels.
Okay.
I mean, there, you know...
Just looking at your lap, it's not a particularly quick one.
It doesn't have to be. Don't forget.
No, you can tool around, can't he, really?
He's going to be 5th at worst.
Yeah.
Norby's 11th. Now, obviously, he needs the points. Yeah, he wants the points, but he's not been fastest in any section, in any session this week. And he said, you know, being outright fastest isn't top of his agenda. Top of his agenda is collecting points, because this is not about showboating. This is now a time to get the championship done for him and for Volvo.
Well done, Seth. Well done. See how far that reach is enough for, but green lap now, F1, and look for the sign for weight again, please.
Yeah, do not miss the weighbridge and have your lap excluded. So, always timely little reminder there. Engineers have to think of those things, don't they? So Rob Huff on his build-up lap. .201.707 in Q2 for Huffy. The track's cooling down and getting quicker because Ted Björk's just done a 201.55. So 201.70 isn't going to cut it, is it? Dominic Grinder with the dark hair. Marco Calovolo with the snow-capped peak, closest to the camera. The engineer and the team director, respectively, for Munich Motorsport. So Björk, first set to time, 26.9 seconds. Huffy should be able to go faster. Can he put the Citroen on the front row of the grid? Could he win here as well? Have they made enough changes overnight to find some of the pace that was just a little lacking? Ooh, 93 thousandths of a second quicker. Ooh, got brake light out.
Oh, he's pushing it hard, isn't he?
Crikey.
Huffy wants that last pole.
Yeah, doesn't he? And in fact, if he does claim the outright pole here, as we said, he will receive the DHL trophy.
Another wounder for Michelitz and Honda.
I know. Wondering how many Tag Heuers is anybody keeping score? Neil Hudson of Touring Car Times must be keeping score of who's won most Tag Heuers.
I think he had about 20 TW Steel watches.
Yeah.
From before that.
And all those Louis Chevrolet watches as well.
You're like Del Boy.
Gorilla Bananas, mate. He will be. Watches up both arms.
Gorilla Bananas.
That's my go-to reference for many watches. Tells you what I did with my childhood. He's properly making the thing work hard for a living, isn't he? Now, talk about like seeing Jan Ehrlich. I would love to have seen Rob up against Pachito in the factory Citroens. That would have been a knockdown grudge match.
But he's had it, and he's not done it this year.
No, I know, but it's not a factory Citroen run by the factory Citroen team. With no disrespect to Dom and all the other guys, 1600s up, quarter of a second up. That's a good lap.
That's a pretty good lap.
That is a good lap. And it looked it, didn't it?
Very good.
It did look it.
Very good, boys. That was a good lap. Everything was nice. Well done. Really, really good job.
That's very good. I wonder how close that is going to be to the outright pole position. Okay, first of the Blue Meanies is coming out. So we now have...
Second
of the Blue Meanies coming out, yes. We have, well, first of the last two.
First of the Van Mullers.
Second and third. We've had Ted Björk, the championship leader. Next up, his rear gunners, stroke loose cannons on deck, Ivan Muller and Nicky Katzberg. Ted looking happy with that. Look, he's in Q3 rather. He was in the top 5 for the main race. He'll be probably no better than 6th on the opening race grid, but get points and don't pick up any damage. That's the key thing. Before we get to the first sector with Ivan, how's he going to do that, Matt? I mean, you've been in that championship position where you've had to win from the front. You've been in a championship position where you've had to win it from not being the points leader going into the final race. How do you try and protect yourself from damage in the opening race here, and then make sure you've got the best shot possible in the main race.
The problem is if you drive defensively with it on your mind, other drivers will pick that up, and then they drive accordingly. So you've got to drive as though it's another race. Obviously, you've got to try and stay out of trouble and keep your head, but you've got to be on the attack. You've got to be pushing forward and looking forward and trying to move on. Otherwise, the other drivers will pick it up straight away. And you know, the one fortunate thing where Ted is, he's looking like he's going to have both his wingmen, Katzberg and Muller, right behind him.
Yeah.
So he can pick up solid points. You know, nice top 5, top 6 finish in the first race, and then he's finishing in front of, he's starting in front of Michelitz again.
But of course, in the opening race, his rear gunners will be in front of him. He's just had trouble. He's just had trouble
behind him.
No, because no, they'll be in front of him.
They'll be behind him.
Oh, yeah, no, they will, won't they? Yes, that's right. Yeah, sorry. Yes, in the main race they'll be behind him.
So you know, you've got a few.
They can't be behind him in both races. They've got to be in front of him in
slow
one.
cars. You know, you've got Gleeson, Jean-Philippe.
Yeah.
Jean-Philippe is fantastic at going through traffic the wrong way.
Shush now.
He is, isn't he?
Yeah. But now the interesting thing is going to be the tussle in front of all these guys in the opening race, which is the Bernardi-Chilton one, and then you've got Gleeson and Philippi and Chris Richard in the top 3, all trying to win the race. Ivan, 1900s away in the 3rd sector, and that's all gone away. Oh, hello.
Okay, P3, very good first and
Okay.
sector.
Oh, hello.
And then we lost on sector 3 and 4.
Yeah, Ivan doesn't lose on sector 3 and 4.
Is that just giving him extra points?
Couldn't possibly say.
Yeah.
Does Ivan need the points? No. Does Ted Björk need the points? Yes.
Yeah, Ronnie Hartfelt covering all the bases, isn't he?
So they'll start in front, because I'm just putting this out there now. Katzberg might not be able to beat Björk's time either. So they'll start in front of Björk, which is 2 easy passes in race 1, and then they're immediately behind him, and Norby can't get through.
It could be a gimme. Well, Guerreri's still to go, isn't he?
If Katzberg goes fastest now, what does it do him? Nothing. He's going to finish 3rd or 4th or somewhere in the championship. What does it do for Volvo? Not a very great deal.
Now, does Guerreri go for pole, or does he go for the slowest of the 5, which means he starts in front of the Volvos and he could be the rolling roadblock to try and get Michelitz back in front for the first one? That would be a good scenario, wouldn't it?
Yes. But then he'll also, if he gets pole, he'll be the leader in the race that counts for most points.
Very true, and it's also manufacturer points. So I would say he'll probably try and shoot for pole.
I think he will. I think that Katzberg will... Oh dear, look, he's behind already in the 1st sector. Oh dear. I think he'll struggle to beat Ted's time.
Well, he could pull it back.
There is a full 1/3 of a second between Ted Björk and Ivan Muller, so he might maybe squeeze in front of Ivan. Because, you know...
Because they haven't been quicker than Ted all weekend.
Because being 3rd in the championship is better than being 4th, 5th or 6th. And it is, you know... I don't think we need the calculator out, do we? I think we need the black cloak of suspicion out. Oh dear, he's still behind. It's getting a little closer though. Maybe just a fraction. Where is he compared to Ivan? Oh, he's only a 10th behind where Ivan
Pretty
was.
close to Huffy. I'm sure Katzberg would like pole if he could get it.
Not thinking that's going to happen, because that takes points away from Björk. If Björk lost by 1 point, because
cover all the
Katzberg...
bases. If you've got one teammate in front, one teammate behind.
If Björk lost the championship because Katzberg had nicked 2 points off him, can you imagine? Oh my giddy aunt.
That's...
Okay, team managers out there.
Well done. Absolutely rubbish, mate. P1.
That's upset Huffy's party.
Right, team managers out there. he's just taken 2 points off his championship-leading teammate.
Pink in sectors 3 and 4.
He was as well. Why did it not show him being purple? Why did it show him being black on our screen? Timing systems. Anyway, here's our final driver, Esteban Guerreri. And this, by the way, we should just underline, is Honda's only shot in the top 5 of getting any points at all out of this.
Only shot in the top 10.
Good grief. Yes. Esteban Guerreri, the stand-in for Thiago Monteiro, Honda's only car in the top 10. Okay.
Okay. We need a sub 26.7 in the first sector.
Yes.
27 dead, sorry.
Yeah.
26.7. I'm looking at the timing screen. Different numbers.
27 dead is the leaders. 26.7 is the fastest first sector.
Ooh.
Can I just say, blooming heck.
So that's equalled Muller's fastest front sector. Honda was very good in the last 2 sectors, wasn't it?
And Norby was absolutely flying. I mean, Norby has the ability to find pace in the final sector like he's straight lining a chicane. I mean, it is literally like he's straight lining a chicane. He can find, in free practice and in the first sector of qualifying, he could find 6 or 7 tenths on somebody in a sector that's 30 seconds long. Just an insane amount of pace.
Looks solid, doesn't it? The car looks well. Really good poise.
Really is.
Looks absolutely bolted down.
He's enjoying it as well, isn't he? He's dancing around far less than Huff, far less than the Volvo rear wheel waggling. And going into the final sector and out to the final corner. And he was nearly half a second up. Is this pole position for Esteban Guerreri at the line? It's got to be, hasn't it? Yes, by 4/10 of a second, a massive margin. The DHL pole sitter for the final main race.
Very good job.
Well, there is some glimmer of light at the end of Honda's tunnel at the moment.
Vai, grande ragazzi, good job. Arigato gozaimasu. We are still in the fight.
And good news for Esteban Guerreri, he's adding a bit of Italian and a bit of Japanese to the Spanish and the English that he already speaks. Well done, that was a great lap. So Esteban Guerreri, the DHL pole sitter for the main race, ahead of Nicky Katzberg, Rob Huff, Ted Björk and Ivan Muller. So a glimmer of success for Honda. The bad news for them, though, and for their driver Norbert Mikulits, is that he will start in 11th and Ryo Michigami in 14th place. 13th, 14th. Our timing screen's cleared itself yet again. But, goodness me, 4/10 of a second, that's a big margin. Imagine if Norby's car hadn't picked up that brake problem.
It'd have been a Castrol Honda lockout at the front and advantage Honda and Michelit's for the championship, wouldn't it?
And Ivan wouldn't have made it through into Q3. Goodness. So, few smiles.
We did say they've both had great weekends, they've both had rotten weekends.
Yeah. There's Thiago, happy to be back with the team. Disappointed not to be racing. Hopefully he'll be fit and ready to go for next season as well. Because he, I mean, you know, there's the guy who could have been world champion. Yeah, what could have been, should have been. But again, you know, big accident. He walked away from it and, or he was stretched away from it, but he is up and about and he's walking, talking, animated, living, breathing, and hoping to come back to racing, but most importantly, still surrounded by his family and able to enjoy them and life every day as he wakes up. So, you know, for all that might have been, what also the darker side of what might have been didn't come his way. So very good to see him around and about. So qualifying done, then Mach 3 awaits, and this will be another interesting little vignette in the battle between Volvo and Honda for this year's Manufacturers' Championship title. To remind you, coming in here, 12.5 points between the manufacturers, so pretty much as close as the drivers' title race was. Honda in second place there, and then Honda in second place in the drivers' standings, but with Ted Björk getting 2 points, he's now 8.5 points ahead of Norbert Mikelitz. So Guerreri, Katzberg, Huff, Björk, Muller, Chilton, Bernani, Richard are the top 8 in the main race, ahead of John Philippi and Nick Gleeson, who's the DHL pole sitter for the opening race. Then Norby, Tom Coronel, Rio Michigami, Jan Erlaché, and the 2 Zengo Motorsport Hondas complete the grids for our races here in Qatar.